Yo, what is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 gameplay video. Hey, in this video I wanted to chat about the Crucible right now, specifically these playlists, these new playlists that we have, the whole playlist layout that came with the Shadowkeep update to the Crucible. I want to talk about the current status of the Crucible, how these playlists are affecting it, and maybe some other factors, but I really think there's a problem right now in the Crucible. I think there is. Comp being a bit of an outlier. I think comp is in a pretty good state right now. I think it's at least way better than it was. Whether or not it's great is up to you, but I think it's pretty obvious that it's better than what we had. But that aside, excluding comp, let's talk about everything else. I think there's a problem right now in the Crucible, and essentially I think it boils down to this. Veteran players have little to no casual Crucible, right? I think veteran players, and that's not to say, you know, extremely talented players, not the top 1%. I'm just saying veteran players in general have little to no casual Crucible right now, and I think there's a lot of factors that contribute to that. Right out of the gate, before you even listen to the rest of this video, usually I prefer if people wait to the end of the video before they leave comments, because half the time I address the thing, like they see a gun in the first place, like, what is that gun? And is the first comment they type. 30 seconds later I go, this is the gun I'm using. So normally I say wait to the end of the video. This time, just even right now, just scroll down to the comment section and just type your initial response to that statement. Veteran players have little to no casual Crucible. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Maybe even quantify how you feel about that. Say I disagree because, or I agree because. I'm genuinely interested in what your initial response to that statement would be. And I do read all the comments, for better or worse, on all my videos. It does take a fair amount of time, but I do it. It's something that I do. So I will read those. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of things that contribute to that problem. One of them is actually the layout of the landing page of the Crucible. When you go, you know, so say a player decides, I'm gonna go play Crucible, you know, and let's say they're not a veteran player. Maybe they're kind of newer to the Destiny scene, or maybe they've been avid PvEers for a long time, but they decided to go play some PvP with the Shadowkeep update. Well, they click on the Crucible icon, and it takes them to a landing page, and there's 3 big icons in the just front and center, right? The one that's in the dead center of the screen, the biggest thing that there is control. Okay, 6v6 control. Alright, cool, I'm going to click on control. It seems to be like the thing it's trying to push me to play is this control playlist, right? They click on it, they play their matches, you know, they get their powerful reward of you know, of whatever it is, and then they probably leave, you know, because they're not a veteran player, they're not an avid Crucible player, so they're probably not going to go and click on all the tiny other icons. I mean, maybe eventually they'll come back and kind of inspect these, see what they're about, and maybe dink around a little bit. But the thing that's front and center is control. Well, the thing about that is it's skill-based matchmaking, which is great for very casual players. Skill-based matchmaking on for very casual players is probably a pretty good thing. You know, I've heard feedback from people who are really casual players, and they love Shadowkeep. They love playing the control playlist. And I'm genuinely happy for them. I really am. An environment where they can go in, not get farmed by, you know, stat farmers, and just have these random really high ranked players in their lobbies that just ruin their experience. And I think that's fantastic. You know, and they see Rumble. If they're interested in playing Rumble, they can play Rumble. The other big icon is the survival playlist, right? It's comp. And they play a little bit of comp as well. But the other things are really small, they're peripheral, they're out of the way, they're removed. Well, the only connection-based matchmaking activity is a tiny icon in the bottom right of that landing page. Okay? So stick with me here. That feels like it's an afterthought to people. It's peripheral, it's down in the corner, it's a small icon. So the only players with, you know, obviously there's exceptions, but the majority of players who are going and clicking on that button, the you know, the classic mix playlist, the majority of the players who are doing that are veteran players, because they know where to look for it. and they're familiar with what that means. They know what classic mix means, and they understand, oh, this is connection-based matchmaking. So because fewer people are being siphoned into that experience, and the majority of the people that are veteran players, that's leading to, well, quite honestly, slow matchmaking times, which is ironic because it's connection-based matchmaking. It's just supposed to grab people, right? It'd be like, it's supposed to just say, here's 12 people who have a good connection to each other. Let's just yank them into the lobby. Then we'll do some team balancing and get this thing started. That's how the matchmaking is supposed to work. But right now, I mean, there's a lot of dead time. You go on that playlist, you start to search. It's basically just trying to find other veteran players that are there looking for a casual experience. And I hate to admit it, but there's a ton of people that click on that playlist because they think connection-based matchmaking, this is where I can take all my super sweaty stuff and my super sweaty approach to PvP and just farm people and get big medals and kill counts. And so there's people who are just in there to hunt for, basically fragging out matches. So ironically, in my honest opinion, I've played a ton of Crucible since Shadowkeep came out. I think it's the sweatiest, outside of comp, it's the sweatiest playlist. I really do feel like it. The connection-based matchmaking playlist is the sweatiest playlist. I matched more teams there than anywhere else outside of comp. And I matched more people just absolutely going for it in that playlist than anywhere else. And I think people are just trying to, and I'm not trying to crap on people, because some people just love doing that, right? They just love stomping players that they're clearly better than, and that's how they have fun playing the video game they paid for. No skin off my back, big deal. I'm just saying that's what it is, for better or worse. So what that means is it's a pretty sweaty playlist, because the casual players, they're not going there because it's a peripheral thing on the bottom of the screen, right? It's an afterthought. So veteran players are being funneled there and sweating against each other, and they think, well, I need a release from this. I really don't want to have to try so dang hard. And I thought this would be the playlist for it. So they switch it up. They say, okay, I guess I'll go to the control playlist. Well, guess what? Skill-based matchmaking is on, and lobby balancing is on top of that. So the better a player you are, the worse experience you're gonna have. The less likely you're gonna be able to just screw around. You want to use this year one weapon that you used to love, but guess what? It's not really good in the meta right now, and so you want to use it, but there's nowhere you can use it. You can't go into the connection-based playlist because everyone's sweating in there. And then otherwise, you're taking it into a skill-based matchmaking environment, and quite frankly, if you're taking something from, that's off meta into a skill-based environment, yeah, if you're playing against players of your skill level, it's an uphill battle. It really is. So there's no place for the veteran players to have a casual Crucible experience. And I know some people might push back on that and be like, y'all just don't want to play people your skill level. And quite frankly, it couldn't be further from the truth. I speak for a lot of us when I say we love playing people of equal or even greater skill than us a lot of times. But quite frankly, 6v6 is just not the place for it. My honest opinion is that Iron Banner should be the only skill-based matchmaking 6v6 experience in Destiny. I firmly believe that. I think when you start bringing skill-based matchmaking and lobby balancing into encounters where there's 12 people, it's too much. It's too much. I just don't think so. It's a miss for me. In my opinion, I would say yank some of these skill-based matchmaking 6v6, business in the rotating playlist. Just boil it down. Give a skirmish. I love a skill-based matchmaking 3v3 environment. That's a fantastic environment to play in. I love it. I miss the heck out of skirmish and salvage from Destiny 1, and even the doubles playlist that was on rotation. Oh my gosh, here in Destiny 2, it's been so good. Skill-based matchmaking is on. I get to have challenging encounters against talented players, but I'm not drowning against a team of 6, because when I go in and 6v6 skill-based matchmaking is on, the lobby balancing, it just screws me so hard. Because I've played so much, my stats are astronomical just because of the sheer amount of time I spend playing PvP, that it stacks the teams against me It sure does. I can't play casually, and I know a lot of other players are echoing that same statement. The better you are, the harder it is to just have fun. And that's unfortunate. It is really unfortunate. I'm going to make a statement here, and I know I'll get pushback on it, but it's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's totally fine, and I respect it. But here's a potentially controversial statement to make. I think we need to stop trying to make Destiny a hardcore competitive experience. I do. I think we need to stop trying to force Destiny to be a hardcore competitive experience for hardcore competitive players. I don't think that's Destiny. I think there might be a time and a place for that every now and then, but I don't know. Destiny is just supposed to be whimsical fun, space magic, and it's so hard to make something that has so many factors highly competitive. You know, you got weapons, builds, perks, exotics, new pinnacle weapons, etc. Man, it's just so many factors to try and make a competitive experience. I think Destiny is at its best when it's not taken too seriously on both the player side and the dev side. In terms of PvP, PvP in Destiny should be fun above all else, in my opinion. So anyways, just some food for thought. I don't think the artifact is helping at all either. I think it's just making things worse. It took the two things that were meta in the previous years or previous seasons, Striker and Hunters. Just that's a blanket statement, I know, but Striker and Hunters have been on top of the meta for a while now. And then Shadowkeep dropped, and the artifact elevated two things. It elevated two things in PvP. What was it? Hunters and Strikers. Strikers are now one-hit punching things, and Hunters are nearly unkillable if they spec themselves correctly. You have to out-damage them 2-to-1 in order to win a 1v1 engagement. Just terrible. But anyways, these are just some of the contributing factors. What do you guys think? What's your response to this breakdown? I'm genuinely interested. Please leave your thoughts. Please be respectful of each other and me. I'd love that. I know that might be asking too much, but I know people get heated about this kind of stuff. But thank you so much for watching the video, and I do hope to catch you in the Crucible.